So it's a great pleasure to be speaking with you today, Jonathan. Here we are.
Thank you, sir.
By the fire at Finch Hatton's.
Yes.
We can hear all the night sounds.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to ask you about was, firstly, for you to tell us
Yes.
when you first got to the Tsavo, how you got here, and then a little bit about the history behind also this particular camp.
Well, yeah. I mean, in days my schooling,
Yes.
I discovered that I had an inclination of having passion for nature,
Yes.
and for that matter, actually wildlife. And I was one of the key players in starting up a wildlife club in my school.
Yes.
And it was like 2 years before we left school. So eventually we didn't have the chance to explore the parks and things,
Yes.
which was our ultimate objective before we left. But since that didn't happen, I carried that need, that urge and the passion with me. And I was lucky that because I had a family friend
Yes.
who was working as a ranger
Yeah.
with Kenya Wildlife Service.
Yes,
And he was
yes.
based in Tsavo.
Yes.
So after our leaving school, he was on leave, and then we
Yes.
met and we were chatting, and I was talking to him about stories about how exciting to see wildlife, like elephants.
Yes.
You know, we only see pictures, and
Yes.
I've never seen them. And he looked at me and said, "Yeah, sure. You know, I'm on leave when I'll be going back. Sure, actually, I can go with you if your parents allow you."
Yes.
I said, "Oh, sure. I will talk to my dad."
Yes.
So I started just like that, and luckily my dad said, "Okay, why not?"
Yes.
So we traveled, and this is back in 1990, actually May. So after he finished,
came here?
yeah, it was. I remember it was on the 23rd.
Yes.
So we traveled to Tsavo.
Yes.
I mean,
Tsavo East, Tsavo West.
It was in Tsavo West, actually,
Yes.
based here at the Rhino Sanctuary.
Yes.
We have a rhino sanctuary, which is a fenced area where they put the rhinos for
Yes.
reproduction, for protections, and all
Yes.
that. So that's my first station when I came in to Tsavo. Yeah, and so we lived there, and at the time they were doing an expansion of the fencing, and then there was also a group of wildlife trusts. The name is Eden Wildlife Trust.
Yes.
They were at the same time doing a translocation
Yes.
of rhinos.
Yes. Here.
So in Tsavo West. So I was lucky that at the time I arrived, they just brought in one.
Yes.
So again, you want to know my first
Yes.
rhino to see and actually inhabitant, though it was in captivity. So during my stay, they actually needed caretakers.
Yeah.
And that's how I actually got recruited then.
Okay.
Because I was, after school, I
Yes.
had nothing to do. I was idle, and for me it was fun. This is what I was looking forward to doing.
Yes.
So I became part of the crew to do the caretaking. And then apart from that, they hoped to set up a new rhino sanctuary base. Today's headquarters, actually.
Yes.
And another phase of expanding the areas where they had enclosed for the rhinos. And then it took us like a year to do the
Yes.
project, because that included also putting water holes in the rhino sanctuary. So I was quite instrumental
Yes.
in surveying and laying out the pipes. That's how I learned my plumbing skills there.
Yes.
I was lucky I met one of the descendants of Sir Isaac Newton, actually.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, a civil engineer,
Yes.
descendant, and that's where I learned
Yes.
plumbing
From him.
from him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually was picked then to be actually a supervisor of the group after
Yes.
that, and I was left in charge. So when we finished the project, come 91 May, we were ready.
Yes.
So we were moving back to Nairobi. So Eden Road Trust, then the office were in Kilelesho.
Yes.
So we moved to Nairobi. I went on my leave, and then I was back again July. I was actually supposed to join Kenya Polytechnics then.
Yes.
And then we went to Mara for a week. And on return, surprisingly, not expected, my boss then said, "Look, we're going to go to the Hilton to meet my friend."
Yes.
And then that's when I met Peter Frank, who at that time was going to retire end of 1991.
Yes.
And he already spoken to my boss about starting a camp in Tsavo,
He wanted to start one.
to do something in
Yes.
Tsavo. And my boss had suggested, actually, he's gotten a young boy who he thinks is good for him because of
Yes.
being with him in Tsavo. So that's how I got introduced to Mr.
So
Frank.
you came here in 1991.
Yeah, so then actually, I remember also like on the 27th July, I was already on the bus on 28th. My boss then, Ted Goss, was, he was a doer. I was,
Yes.
he wants things rolling. So I was already put in the bus to come down. Before I knew it, I was back here, and
Yes.
today, 20 plus years, So that's
What
how
was
things
here
started.
on the first day you got here?
Then I remember, then I had to look for like 3 other young
Yes.
boys who we could live together, otherwise
Yeah.
instead of being alone, set up a camp. So actually, we spent our first night, August 1st, in Kitani.
Yes.
And then Mr. Davi, Valendra Davi then,
Yes.
who had joined Mr. Frank to start up the camp, came over.
Yeah.
He picked us from T2, came to Kitani, overnight there, and then the next day we started our journey to come to site.
Yes.
And then Mr. Frank was going
You'd
to fly
already
in.
identified this site?
Yeah, you see, what has happened is actually when the time I was at the Reno Sanctuary, and this I came to realize after
Yes.
we were at the Hilton,
Yes.
is that Peter Frank, when he was in the Hilton, he was flying to Taita Hills.
Yeah.
Because he was in charge of also Taita Hills, being the GM in Nairobi. So during his flight
Yes.
from Nairobi to Taita Hills, this
Yeah.
was on the flight path.
Wow.
So you always seen this green patch.
Yes.
And he was also wondering, is it in the park or outside, But since Ted Goss, he knew Ted Goss, then it was once a warden here.
Yes.
And so he asked him about it, and he said, oh yeah, sure, I know where it is. No, you're talking about that used to be actually an area used to have a special camp during my operations.
Yes.
He was a senior warden nearby the 78 about,
Yes.
yeah. So he actually offered on his way to Rhino Sanctuary to come and see us. He would take him on an helicopter. And they came and landed here and found, yes, this is it. It's in the national park. And actually we have hippos.
Yes.
There were hippos, and then when we came, he stood here and said, look, and this is where Ted goes.
Yes.
Said, look, and here you have hippos. You can see them there, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then over the trees, you see Kilimanjaro.
Yes.
So it's a perfect spot. And
Yes.
he immediately said, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what I'm looking for.
Wow.
So that's how actually the site was spotted, from the air, and then from the ground, certified that it's in the national park. So the next thing was to engage Kenya Wildlife Service, who are mandated to run the parks for an arrangement to have a concession or lease to build the camp. And so this took place in 1992. And then for 5 months, we were camping just opposite under a fig tree. There's a fig tree there behind for 5 months before the contractor came then.
Wow.
Which is 1992 February.
And what was it like? It was there was nothing here then?
I tell you what, when we came from Kitani, we had a road stretching up to 11 kilometers.
Yes.
Today to Kitani is 18. So the 6 kilometers to come, there was non-existent.
Wow.
I mean, this was like ranch land. There was no road, no nothing, real bush. And we had to walk actually from the 11-kilometer point by foot with Mr. Frank to cross over the bush land there, the grass over the river. He had a mental note where what we were looking for. Because I remember saying there's a fig tree and then there's a hippo pole behind, in that area. So I remember we walked on high grass like that. With pepper ticks and all that. And we went into elephants. All of a sudden you say, oh, elephants, because it was hot.
Yes.
Ready by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
It was like warm. So I say, oh, yeah, elephants right in front of us. So now we had to apply our instinct of, to be safe with elephants, how do you, so you have to go downwind, where they don't get your scent. So we went round them, came the first riverbed, there was no water. Then I remember him saying, no, there's a river, there's water.
Yes.
So we moved on and we came on the second riverbed and there was water. So we knew, then we crossed. And I remember when we came out, we could see some open grounds.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I saw Maasai cattle. I said, hey, there must be people here. I see cattle. Then we looked, there was young boys and they started running, singing a Muzungu,
Yes.
Out of the blues, shoot, they took off. That was fun, yeah.
Wow.
So I had to call them. I said, hey, in Swahili then, hey, Jambo, how are you? Don't run. Then I spoke to them. I said, look, you're okay. We are
Yeah.
not, after you at all. We
Yes.
just, we would like to, we are looking for a spot where there's water. We say, oh yeah, there.
Yes.
So they pointed at the direction.
Yes.
Then we walked a few meters, and all of a sudden we saw a fig tree. I said,
Yes.
it's a fig tree. I said,
Yes.
that's where we are going. So
Wow.
we walked. After we spotted it, then we knew what it was. Then now we had to go back
Yeah.
and bring the other crew.
Yes.
We had a Land Cruiser, Land Rover on the other side. Quite fascinating. We said, look, let's follow the animal trail.
Yes.
So we moved towards the west, and I remember climbing up a tree
Yes.
to see if I can see the car. So what did I do? I just whistled, I just went, I whistled strongly, and then all of a sudden I could hear hooting. He said, I know, they're on that side.
Yes.
So he could tell where we are and the direction of the car.
Wow.
So now then we walked towards the car, we found them.
Yes.
So then I guided them through. Where we walked through,
Yes.
we looked where the car can drive through. So we brought them in, crossed over. Actually, immediately,
Yeah.
we set out the big campfire.
Yes.
And we put some branches around, like a boma, like the
Yes,
Maasais
yes.
do, to safeguard the area where the tents are going to be pinned up. So we did camping. We put up an army tent that we
Yes.
had bought.
Yes.
With the safari beds, sofarias for cooking and everything, and food stuff and water. And we actually put up our tent, and by 3 o'clock we were ready.
Yeah.
As Frank had to go back, then we remained, the four of us.
My goodness.
For me, it was not the first time in the bush.
Yes.
Because for 1 year, I was walking through the
Yeah.
park, doing all this stuff. So I kind of knew about we are safe, with animals. You don't need to be actually afraid per se, and you just have to be careful
Yes.
that you're not walking into a situation. So I had to guide my colleagues and, talking to them, it's okay. But I tell you, in the evening, we had a bonfire
Yes.
that high.
Yes.
Just before we slept, like 8 o'clock, we were all sitting there, and then all of a sudden, I heard this big loud noise.
Yes. And what
I thought there was that, and I said, it's hippos.
Yeah.
It was first time to see hippos. First time.
Yes.
I never knew how the noise, how loud they can
Yes.
be.
Yes.
And there was not one, not two, not three.
Yeah.
Intense, maybe
Wow.
30 or 40 of them.
Oh my goodness.
They are protesting because now it is first time ever to see
Yeah.
fire, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we are here. We are. It's for them. It's home.
Yeah.
But there's an intruder with big fire. So they probably were protesting in that sense. Yeah. So we knew we were okay, but we had to stay safe. So I told everybody, hippos. They are known to be, inch or most dangerous in the bush. So what we do, we just stay in, stay calm.
Yeah.
We should be okay. And we made it, but I'm sure some of my friends never slept when they hear that noise. So that was our first night. Of course, we actually stayed almost a week without a ranger even. We didn't have even a ranger.
Wow.
Completely by ourselves
Yes.
in the bush.
No one else around.
We were meant actually to have been provided with the two rangers
Yes.
to come over stay with us. But then eventually they came along. So a week later, we were joined by two rangers.
Yeah.
So then we felt more safe actually. And I remember when they came in, he said, "Oh guys, you are sitting out there. There are 7 lions behind here." I said,
my-
"Where?"
Yes. You hadn't
Just-
seen them.
No, but they were just like 50 meters at least.
My God.
So they knew we were there, but
Yes.
we never knew. But we were not venturing out of our boma where we
Yes.
had surrounded. We always kept our distance, or knew each other where we were.
Yeah.
And John, who is part of the first crew, we were together. Who is still with us actually.
Yes.
He comes from the area, so again he was not
John
too.
was walking.
John is actually doing. He's in housekeeping.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not in today, but he's still with us. That is, so he was also very courageous. So
Yes.
that at least the two of us, we were able to encourage the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apart from that we were conscious of, we're in the bush, no communication,
Yes.
no road, no vehicle, no telephone, no nothing.
Wow.
Complete disconnect.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was today,
You
I think people would freak out
Yes.
because the need for this, for that. At that time, it
Yes.
it was like, okay, that's how it was.
Yes.
Because even writing a letter would take a month.
So how long was it from that point to actually establishing the camp?
Right, so we stayed 5 months.
Yes.
As is in the bush, walking around. Mr. Frank coming down for site meetings every weekend. We walk around. So I got now to understand what he was what he was going into.
Yes.
Because every time we walk around, we say, look, we like to build a camp.
Yeah.
And because I had gone to the Mara and I visited the Sakenani, there's a camp there.
Yes.
So I referred to, I was in the Mara a month ago. He said, are you talking about something like the Sakenani? He said, yeah, but the high class, that's high, for the upmarket.
Yes.
This is something for people who have seen it all, people who appreciate better things in life.
Yes.
Like I've traveled quite a bit, in my life, working with the Hilton, and having been in Kenya twice. I've seen what is around. I think it's the time the country should move.
Yes.
So you need to show the industry that it is possible to actually come up with a concept or something that people, will appreciate, having been around every other year. So himself being a retiree, with all the experience and all the, having traveled a lot, he himself was already feeling, he would appreciate to have a place where whenever he wants to relax or like holiday on the contest or safari, would be something nice, so people don't need to go to other countries to find these places where Kenya should be able now to provide.
Yes.
The country should be ready for it. So he took this as something that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so for me it was exciting, a new front again, to get involved. So I become quite, keen to follow what he wants to be done. So I would be involved in the site meetings with the contractors, what they're going to do. So during the construction, I was the East Side representative.
Oh, wow.
So I would go walk around.
Yes.
And this we are talking 1992 February.
Yes.
Because we had came at 1991 August. So the whole thing started then. Building camps, we would go and say, okay, this is where we're going to have one tent, another tent here facing here. Make sure the space is okay. The height, that they are not on the floor. For safety and, people to feel say that you're not sleeping on the floor. Kind of on the ground level. You're high up. Also a vantage view of, the view to be able to see far. So that's how I got really now into, getting to know and helping the setting, getting ready 10 months later. Okay, we were not able to open December for the simple reason that, or partly because we were going to Motpasi and there was Motpati elections.
Yes, I remember.
And, it's because a lot of stuff were being imported that was delayed to see how everything settles. So it took us into the following year.
Has politics affected your tourism here? I mean, you're talking about 92.
92 already, yeah.
97.
97, 98 with the bomb blasts.
So it is highly affected.
Actually, it is interesting to note, despite that. Because this was like a new product. So it created interest, and the travel industry came to learn about it. So it took a while to people to get to understand about Finchattans and what it's all about, and also see how they can put it to the map. And also combine with what, because you cannot. It's not easy for one just to travel here and then don't go somewhere else. Not combine it. So it took a while, like 2 or 3 years. But since 95, 96, things started to pick up. Until all the way until the 97, 98 bomb blast. And remember at that time we were actually busy. Then of course travel anniversary came, so it affected the industry. And, but otherwise, traditionally apart from the low seasons, and all that, whenever there were travel anniversaries, it did affect, It did affect, It did affect,
Now it's a very different camp to when you are describing.
Right, yes.
So tell us a little about the changes that were made. What were the changes?
Wow. I must state, when we started off, I learned from Peter Frank originally. His intention was to do a maximum of 25 tents. And that was actually brought by the fact that Tsavo
Yeah.
was kind of left behind. A lot was happening
Yes.
in other places. Tsavo was like forgotten.
Yeah.
Although philosophically we say like everything started here, because
Yes.
even the missionaries and everybody came from the sea, passed
Yes.
by Tsavo. That was the first contact with
Yes.
wildlife, and then moved on.
Yes.
It was time now to bring back Tsavo and the original safari adventure feel.
Yeah.
And that's when the name Finch-Hattons comes to play, because then Finch-Hattons is known Tsavo to be his favorite hunting block.
It was.
Yes.
Yes.
And so Peter Frank was inspired by the character of Finch-Hattons and assumed, or this was his inspiration, that he would have lived long enough, he would have built a permanent
Yes.
place where
Yes.
he would host his guests.
Yeah.
Either climatize them, prepare them for going on safari, or after safari, where he
Yes.
would come, people entertain them and people talk about the experience and then go back home.
Yeah.
But then look at the values of how Finch-Hattons are doing in safari: crystal glass, chain
Yes.
aware.
Yes.
So those comfort, that standard
Yes.
of being an aristocrat,
Yes.
is actually one of the values that came in
Yes.
to create
Yeah.
that kind of atmosphere where you'll be hosting like the VIPs,
Yes.
people appreciate better things in life, as I stated before. So it is from the quality, the standard that started off, that made Finch-Hattons to stand out of other many. So from the original, it was meant to be like a face setter.
Yes.
Yeah. And 20 years later,
Yes.
other camps, other places came up with similar ideas at the
Yes.
same level. So this started catching up. I must say today, the theme of Out of Africa, you can hear it every corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Peter Frank retired 2030.
Yeah.
And then now the Kishan Gallows family, being involved from, very beginning, were kind enough to say, look, yes, Peter Frank will be retiring, but then
Yeah.
we had to carry on the mantle.
Yes.
And the thing was, already 5 years before, there has been discussions about what would happen to Finch-Hattons in looking forward in the 10,
Yeah.
15 years.
Yes.
So already the
were
idea,
thinking about it.
on how to handle that. And so it came to ripe in 2013 when we closed down.
Yes.
2013 and 2014. We meant for 9 months, and eventually
Yes.
took 2 years.
Yes.
I must say it wasn't an easy
Yeah.
thing to do, because even from discussions with the staff, guests
Yes.
who were being here, because this became like home for
Yes.
us.
Yes.
And even some guests to
Yeah.
come for like 3, 4, 5, 10 times.
Yes.
Sometimes 2 years. So they would wonder, what are you going to do? It's already nice.
Yeah.
You just need maybe to do like the roofs and
Yes.
a few things, and then change if it's the beds, and that's it. But we knew in the back of our mind, we need to prepare ourselves for a few years coming, that you don't want to be doing every other time.
Yes.
Oh, there's something nice to do. You want to do it once and for all. And I think that's when renovation,
Yeah.
was taken to roll. And I mean, if you see the transition, there's a real transition between the first phase of Finch-Hattons and
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And I must say, not in terms of changing, but I call it a good compliment.
Yes.
Where we were and now.
Yes.
And of course, we are on the 21st century. The traveler also has changed.
Yes.
Expectations are different then.
Yes.
And we also want to be able to accommodate the cross-generational, aspects, because then, whereas you see maybe 60% of the guests who probably would come to Finch-Hattons will be more towards retiring or retirees.
Yes.
People have the money and they've traveled a lot. But then you also have young executives who appreciate good life and better things in life.
Yes.
But in that context, you find they have mobile phones, they want to be on Wi-Fi.
Yes.
They do the wellness things. So these came now
But you
to
have
be
all these things.
These things where they came in to be able to accommodate everybody.
Yeah.
So now our spectrum has been widened.
Yes.
Yeah. And which is, now it's 2 years after it opened.
Yeah.
And you can tell from
Yes.
guest feedback that they really appreciate what we did. So yeah, I mean, was quite exciting, both exciting and challenging.
Yes,
You know.
yes, quite a journey.
Yeah. So for me, it was like a circle,
Yes.
a full circle.
Yeah.
Seen it happening from 0 day, came to maturity.
Yes.
If I would say, and then a new chapter.
Yes.
It's on. So, yeah,
So-
I'm quite
so-
excited to be, part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, after
Yeah.
all these years, what
Yes.
has been your best experience in this park that you've experienced, and what would you tell visitors that they have to do? Because the Tsavo is remote and people don't necessarily know it as well as other parks.
Actually, is one of my passion to
Yes.
talk about Tsavo,
Yes.
both to friends and including KWS,
Yes.
including guests to come. It is quite a big park to begin with.
Yes.
So it is necessary, even for marketing purpose, people do understand that you need to approach Tsavo for what it is.
Yes.
You cannot front it as a wildlife destination only for wildlife.
Yeah.
You need to appreciate it's a 20,000 square kilometer. The animals are not fenced.
Yes.
They have to move. They are freely to move, which
Yes.
they've done for centuries.
Yes.
And so you need to go beyond that and say, look, there's history
Yeah.
here. As I mentioned, missionaries went through here. The railway went through
Yes.
here. First and Second World War partly was fought in Tsavo.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you can talk of even droughts, knowing how they affect the wildlife. Big rivers go through here. Now, when you look at wildlife, for example,
Yeah.
Tsavo is known for like elephants,
Yes.
lions,
Yes.
including the infamous man-eaters.
Yes.
So it might be one thing that you may either use to sell or might make people feel that, sometimes I get this question, you have man-eaters in Tsavo, so are the lions,
Yes.
are they still, hunting people?
Yeah.
And you have to explain this was an incident,
Yes.
maybe out of ignorance of, of
Yeah.
people who are doing the railway or even during the slave trade.
Yes.
And I mean, look, I'm sure if we were going to look at the whole scenario of wildlife safari, you have Masai Mara, you have Samburu, you have, what do you call it, Naivasha, Nakuru for the
Yes.
birds, and then Tsavo. It is important that when we are talking of making programs that you complement.
Each other.
Yes, they're not meant to compare.
Yeah.
It's to complement. You do your wildlife safari, and then I'm sure if you are like 2 weeks,
Yes.
you need your 1 weekend of the week. You are caught up with fatigue and wanting to take it easy and all that, and that's where we come in.
Yeah.
Where we provide you relaxation on the still setting of the safari contest, because you
Yes.
still can go see wildlife, scenic,
Yeah.
for photographing sunsets, walkings like in the Chulus,
Yes.
then you can get also involved with our guys to do other activities. So you find we positioned ourselves to trying to offer you something different from what you're going to be doing elsewhere.
Yeah.
The challenge that I would say faces, like not only Finchazon and Tsavo, is how it's being approached for sales purpose.
Yeah.
How we project it there, which needs to be, and we do a lot on that.
On that.
Yeah,
With
well,
the
we do a lot
tourism
of
board, with the
tourist board, KWS. Whenever I do exhibitions, a lot of advertisement, and you say we don't front like wildlife per se.
Yes.
We say it's a wilderness
Yes.
park.
Yes.
The real experience as it was 100 years.
Yes.
No, there's no like overdevelopment where there are not too many vehicles. There's you have your space.
Yes.
Yeah, you have your space. It can be a whole morning, a whole day.
See nobody else.
Yeah, it's yourself, and this is an experience
Yeah.
which was and sometimes is lacking in other places when they are too busy.
Yeah.
So, for me, having lived here over 20 years, I can attest to you can have everything.
Yes.
From birds, from big game, from small ones, from for other activities. You go walking, you go hiking, you can go. You know, Tsavo actually has one of the world's rock climbing site.
Yes.
The Ngulias.
Mm.
It is also one of the migratory routes of birds. It's also here in Tsavo. So when you look at it, you can actually have special groups,
Yes.
you know, coming to visit. And these are some of the things that we are trying to front and talking to KWSC how that can be, you know, brought on board and made aware. Because I think when people are not aware, they
Yes.
cannot appreciate,
No,
you know.
right.
And this is that's a front that needs to be worked on. And I would say it is the time now when we need all the key players or the stakeholders to actually come together. And I must appreciate Kenya Tourist Board is doing a lot today. In the former years, we knew of the name, but we never knew what they
Yes.
are doing. But we are working
Just
very
seeing them.
closely. But they need much closer working together, stakeholders from the ground, and you know, because tourism is still more privately,
Yes.
you know, owned and run. But we see more government getting involved. So it will be a very good shot in the arm for the government actually to hasten or to actually go a little bit further and have regular meetings with the stakeholders and discuss about how is everything on the ground, where
Yeah.
do you think we need to do more, because also we have feedback from guests and you can tell what they are finding
Yes.
in Kenya, where if you talk to them where they're being else doing, you can tell where we still needs to do more. And marketing is one of them, which I must say is improved for 20 years from when I started off. Today it's totally something different. Yeah. But there's still more needs to be done on that front. Yeah.
But I'd like to thank you very much
You're
for
welcome,
sharing
yeah.
with us your thoughts.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anytime. Yeah. Thank you.